Hi guys, and welcome to another hard-hitting Hot Topics, where we controversially go right into the latest news stories exploding around the world. A very current, a very trending one that happened yesterday, 16th of January in Italy, was the unbelievable arrest of the head of La Cosa Nostra, Matteo Messina Denaro. This is a guy who was on the run for 30 years and wanted over some of the most iconic murders. One of them being an 11-year-old boy being dissolved in acid. Matteo Messina Denaro really was a massive boss. He comes from, the real old school, and he was a protege of people like Bernardo Provenzano and Salvatore Rina himself. Of course, these guys died 2016, 2017, but they were the real heads of the Sicilian Mafia that really dominated all the clans after the 1980s Mafia War, which seen mass murder there, and a big kind of signature then of these guys and of Rina, the Beast as he was known, was they would kill all the males of the family. They would grow up, they may get powerful, strong, and they would come back for revenge. He was really wanted, and there's been a real decline in the mafia as well, where the population of Sicily has really risen up against the mafia, where they had a lot more power in the old days. And a pivotal moment where the change of this was where they was all involved in the murder of Giovanni Falcone and Borsellino, which were two of the leading anti-mafia magistrates then. They set explosive charges in a motorway for Falcone. And when they found out his motorcade was coming from the airport, they blew the whole motorway up just to get him, and his wife died, and some bodyguards as well died there. I think it was 3 months after Borsellino was blown up by a car bomb as well, as he visited his mother's house. So this really set the people against the mafia in Sicily. I'd say he'd have a lot of influence, of course he was. So it's a very clandestine way he would have to operate. But certainly they would be working with other organised crime groups, with contraband, drugs, money laundering, the usual trappings that fund and fuel the migration of organised crime.
How could someone be on the run for 30 years?
That's a great question, and it's a pattern because Salvatore Rina and a lot of these guys, they was on the run for decades, all right? And you would think that in such a small island like Sicily, really. But of course, they have a really solid network, They have unlimited wealth, of course, but it's a lot more than that. They never let their right hand know what their left hand is doing. They don't have any technology around them. They don't use any phones. They used to write down coded messages which would be given to people to give out their directions, their instructions and their orders. Of course, they'd keep moving. They'd have very clandestine places, and they'd always have tunnels and ways out and places like that. And of course, they would trust absolutely no one.
What does it mean now, the mafia?
The truth is, the mafia is so ingrained, certainly in Sicilian, Italian society, that it will migrate, it will change, it will pivot, and it will come back. There will be other people who will come up and they will take the reins of power, but there's definitely a decline. It's notoriously very embroiled with the political system over in Italy. The Sicilian mafia. There are different clans over there as well. Throughout Italy as well, that act now independently, but they are organised crime groups. The same, and they will collaborate, although they're very clannish, within their own group. even on the mainland of Italy. So this is the foothold of it, but it's certainly on a decline now because, you know, the government are really waging a war against this, and many people are turning, you know, against their own to get lighter sentences. So as we have seen with the American brand of La Cosa Nostra, it has really been diluted by these innovations and by, you know, the wars and the violence which has been perpetrated. This is bringing down the full weight of the state and the international community, and it is really got organised crime in many ways in a stranglehold, and I can see this diluting further.
They might even try to reduce the sentence if he cooperates, right? But he's not the type of guy that's going to give up any information because he's already got cancer, right?
Look, you know, who's to say who's going to work out a deal, really? But my experience is these kind of guys, one, I don't think the Italian state would give him a deal. He's too high profile a target, and for him there's nothing to lose. You know, he was arrested at that private clinic. He'd already been going there a year, you know, for cancer treatment. All he's got left really is the way that he's lived his life, his name and his dignity. So I would say that he will live that life out till the end. That's what I would say. But many other people in the middle as well, they will turn, and the government, I think, strategically would rather go for other targets to get the information that they need.
Did you know anyone who happened to have any kind of relation with him?
It's hard to say. You know, when I was in prison, you know, I was away with some very, very leading Sicilian Mafia. You know, one of them was Filippo Monteleone. You know, there was a few of them. Franco Di Carlo, he was called the Butcher of Alfonte. You know, they took him back because of the murder of his brother, and he cooperated, Franco as well. So, you know, I met a lot of these guys then, and they was much older than me. So it's fair to say it's very probable that they would know people very close, if not Matteo Denaro himself. The question is, you know, can a guy, you know, mafia or someone in this life, can they die with honour? The simple question is, you know, no matter what people may think, I think that they actually can. You know, you're talking about a mindset here. You're talking about a lineage in many ways. It comes through the family, and you're talking about a lifestyle, a way of being. You know, that's akin to like the Roman emperor falling on his sword, right? You know, and keeping all secrets to himself. So within that life, that clan, that lifestyle, their families, they can die with honour if they play by the rules. So it doesn't matter what other people say in that way. But, you know, when you look at it really for what it is, with a healthy outlook, knowing that that's a terrible life, an evil life, right, and it's wrong, all right, and no good can come from it, then that's a different mindset. And of course, you're actually saying, well, you know, the truth is, you know, and I can, you know, testify with this, that when you're involved in a darkness like that, or lifestyles like this, it does and can haunt you. This is the truth, you know, and this stays with you. This kind of stuff stays with a human being. I mean, when we're talking about the victims, you know, and the relatives of these terrible murders, I think a light really needs to be shone on that, because it shows what these actions do and what they, you know, the scars, you know, the emotional grief, destruction and torture that they send out to everyone else. You know, and it's very true, it has to be said, violence only makes more violence, you know, and it goes on and on, you know. Violence cannot stop violence, it's only going to make violence more. You know, only love and only understanding can do that. And of course, this is not a life where there is that. So this perpetrates and sends a terrible message, which, you know, goes through families. And unfortunately, this trauma is passed on, and the immensity of this cannot be overstated. And this is one of the main things that why organised crime needs to be stopped. It needs to be obliterated, and it needs to be managed, because it brings us nothing. Big news today, guys, with Matteo, Messina, Denaro being arrested. It's going to cause shockwaves all around the world of organised crime. It's good that we go in there and have a look and answer some of these really important questions that I know the audience is thinking and they want the answers to. Stay tuned now, where we go to more current, trending, really hard-hitting and explosive topics of the day. Take care now. God bless. And be lucky.